everybody? Welcome to another edition of Real Spit from a Gangsta Gone Legit. Before we get started, I'm going to need you to hit that like and smash that subscribe button. Today we're on location in Atlanta, and I'm pleased to announce my man Andre Norman. What's up, bro?
Doing well, doing well.
All right. Yeah, I'm glad to have you, man, because I've been wanting to build with you for a long time. Because one, you have a lot to offer for these young boys out there that's in these streets. You know, you've been doing a lot with them. But before we talk about that, I want to take it back to your early days. I want to talk about where you came up from. Let the people know what city you're from. How old were you when you first came off the porch? How old were you when you got incarcerated, your first run in the law? So let's start with that.
Well, born in Boston City Hospital, 1967. My mom had 6 kids in 7 years. We were born in Four Corners. I lived 2 houses from the corner, 13 Harvard Street. Then probably like 2nd grade, we moved to Mattapan, up on Wellington Hill. So we moved to Mattapan, started the 3rd grade, illiterate, couldn't read, watched my mom go through the drama with dad. I'm saying the basics. I'm saying that we've all been through. Got to Mattapan, started a school called the Towston. It was up in the square. And they gave me a test and they found out I couldn't read. But back then, they had a thing called a dummy class. So they stuck me in the dummy class, they closed the door. It was me, my man Melvin, and my man Thaddeus. And we was just gonna be dummies. That's just what it was. Luckily, a teacher took me out of the dummy class, Miss Oliver. Shout out to Miss Oliver. And she taught me my learning style. She said, "You're not a dummy, you just learn differently." And she taught me my learning style. See, I grew up in a house of chaos and confusion and drama, so you just can't say it. I gotta feel it. If I feel it, then I attach to it. If there's no feeling, there's no attachment. So I went on to school, and I went up to Lunenburg for middle school. When I got to the Lunenburg, I found out that I was poor. I know nobody's poor in elementary school. You're just there, your kids, you play. In middle school, people had the Calvin Klein jeans, they had the Spark Bills, they had all this Stan Smiths.
I remember
they had all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I had none of the stuff. And they told me day one, you ain't got none of this stuff. And they started giving me the business that I'm a free lunch kid. Everybody's free lunch in elementary school. I didn't know what it was. Right. So it was just drama after drama after drama, made me not want to go to school. So I started hustling. Not back in the days, we used to go to the park and be runners for the dudes in the park. Norfolk Park.
How old are you now when you're saying that?
6th grade.
Okay, what would that be, 6th grade?
12.
12.
So Norfolk Park in Mattapan had the older kids out there, high school, whatever the ages were, and we were just runners. We weren't out there slinging and doing nothing crazy. We run across the street, grab 10 bags, run back and give it to the dude and stand there. Mm-hmm. And then we run that across, that's all we did. You might make $30, $40. Mm-hmm. But to me, I could buy my own lunch. To me, I could buy some clothes. To me, I could go to UG's and get a sub when I was hungry because we didn't have food in my house. So that $20, $30 a day meant something to me. Mm. And that's where we started. Back in school, my 6th grade teacher, music teacher, shout out to Miss Ellis, gave me a trumpet. And she put me in the band. So all through middle school, I played the trumpet. And when I graduated from the Lunenburg, I was supposed to go to Westie. Because everybody from Mattapan goes to Westie.
That's right.
I'm ready. My sisters went there. My brother's there. Everybody from the neighborhood's there. I'm going to Westie. I'm a Mattapan dude. This is what we do. Miss Ellis said, no. You're going to another school that has a band that you need to be in. And she sent me to Madison Park. She made me, because you used to fill the form out and put your top 3 choices. That's right. She checked Madison and nothing else. And she sent, my mother didn't check in on it. My father wasn't checked in on it. And nobody really noticed. We put the paper in. I got the thing back and said Madison. I go to Madison, I join the band. So in the morning, I would hang out with the band kids. In the afternoon, I hang out with dudes who ripping and running. Mm-hmm. And I would do that every day. Then one day, my afternoon friends were like, yo, what's that box you carrying, Dre? Like, it's my trumpet. Like, man, that's stupid, man. That's corny, man. You know what I'm saying? Black folks don't rock the trumpet, man. And they told me, get rid of the trumpet or get rid of them.
So that made you have a choice at an early age.
I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters, but I was always alone. You know what I'm saying? I was always like a loner, because I was short. I used to be a midget, real tall. Anybody who knows me in middle school, like, that dude was like this big. I was through the 4. I was like 4'11" in middle school. It was nothing funny. Right. But I didn't have no friends. These are my friends. I don't have a second group of friends. So I gave up the trumpet. And I tell people, growing up poor is horrible, but people have done it and made it. Growing up without a dad is the worst, but people have done it and made it. You try growing up without a dream, you ain't going no place. And that trumpet was my dream. And I didn't even know it, but I gave up my dream, and from then on, it was just all downhill. My first case, assault and battery in 9th grade. I beat up the senior class president. My first time I got pulled up by the police, 8th grade, I broke out all the windows in the middle school, being on some knucklehead stuff. But I caught that first assault and battery. I got found guilty. Judge Houston, anybody remembers Judge Houston down from Roxbury Court, 350 community service hours. I'm out there cleaning cars, doing the dumb stuff over the summer. And the probation officer said, "You see this, Andre?" She showed me an index card. She said, "You got one charge, assault and battery." And she went in the drawer, put out another one. She said, "You see this dude had like 8 index cards stapled together." She said, "Don't be him." So I never gonna be that. I got one charge. It was a fluke. I got in a fight and I won. It was like, whatever. By the end of high school, I looked like the other dude.
So your charges started accumulating.
Picking them up. And then the thing that actually saved me, because stuff happens in our childhood that we don't recognize as a gift. Junior year, I'm flunking all 3 years of Madison. I ain't passed the class yet. And then Ronald Reagan was president. He wanted black kids to go on this exchange student program to different countries. So somebody came up with some crazy program in DC. They said they're going to test it out in Boston. They wanted black kids to go on to see other countries. But they knew if they did test scores, black kids wouldn't win, the Asian kids and the white kids would.
Right.
So they said, no test scores can be looked at, only potential. You have to go in an interview and see the person. It was like the Rooney Rule, but for the exchange student program 30 years ago. So you know, back in the day, I go to class late, teacher kicked me out. So we walking through the hallway, just chilling at Madison, and then security ran up on us. They're like, "Yo, not today, Dre. The superintendent of schools was coming." Anytime the superintendent of school is coming, they shut it down. There's no games.
Right.
There's no games today because their jobs is on the line. Everything, I was like, yo, they're like, get out of the hallway. Madison, you couldn't just go hang out in the gym. It was rugged up in there. If you wasn't in position, you can go to the gym. I didn't want to shoot down dummy. Again, I'm from out of pain. Right. I'm like, the dude said, "Listen, go in the auditorium, sit in the back, and just be quiet. I'm not supposed to let you in there, but go in there." I go in the auditorium, I sit in the back. In my man. This little black dude with a bow tie down front telling kids they can go to Italy, they can go to France, they can go to Germany. After like 8 minutes of being good, I was like, "Yo, you full of shit. Ain't nobody going nowhere." You know, I gotta cause a scene. So I'm causing a scene, doing what I do, just being loud. He says, "Don't talk from back there, come talk to my face." My man started laughing at me. So I gotta walk down there now. He said, "Yo, take this form, you go fill it out. You submit it. Make them say no. Never say no for them."
Right.
So he de-escalates the situation. I walk off with the form. It's like 3-4 months later, I'm sitting in the house chilling. And something was like the date was banging me in the head. So I go to my drawer and I found the form. It was the same date it was due. So I fill the form out. I call one of my homies who lived in the street. We had a stolen car. We jump in the car, we shoot over to English High School, the old English, the tower, and I go to drop the form off. When we walk up, we got leather jackets on, big radio. We pull up on the desk, there's a white lady at the door. She said, "How can I help you?" I'm like, "You know, back in the days, you didn't mess with white folks. Not in Boston. I don't care who you thought you don't mess with those white folks." We were ready to turn around and peel. She said, "No, what are you here for?" I said, "The exchange student scholarship." She said, "Well, where's your app?" I handed the application. I'm standing there, trying not to have no smoke with this lady. And she said, "Well, where's your essay?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You have to have an essay to go with this." I said, "If I got no essay, I'm gone." Now I'm ready to turn around. I'm trying to get away from this lady. She stopped me. She said, "No." She got a table, got a chair and a pen and a paper. She said, "Write your essay right now." She made me write my essay. She took my essay and she opened the door. She said, "Go on inside." Me and a homie, we go inside and it was like a big conference room. And for me, it was depressing because what I saw was mothers and fathers all dressed up, the kid, high school kid, all dressed up, brothers and sisters, little brother, little sister, all dressed up, And the mom is talking about, hi, this is Johnny. He's going to apply for this year. This is little Steven. He's going to apply in 3 years. And I'm like, I'm here with my homie who was a high school dropout. We got a stolen car outside. And all these people here familyed up.
Right.
My mother and father, to that date, had never been in the same room that I knew of. I'm a junior in high school, and I've never seen my parents in the same room. It was always go to his house or go to her house, but never them two in the same room at the same time.
Right.
It just never happened. Christmas time, he come by the house, drop off stuff, she shoot to the kitchen. And he come in the living room, he have his moment, pass out his toys, and he would bounce and she'd come back out. But I can tell you from 3rd grade to 11th grade, I never saw my parents in the same room. So to see a whole room, and I'm like, grandma's out. My grandmother don't come out for this type of shit. You know what I'm saying? She loved me, but we don't do this.
Right.
I never seen this. So I was hurt, offended, upset, disgruntled, disappointed. And I walked around the room, and it was 34 companies who were offering scholarships. I interviewed all 34. Walked up to the first table, introduced myself, did a formal interview. Next table, I interviewed all 34 companies. And the way it was set up was kind of like a draft. Every company, when the interviews were done, they would say, okay, I interviewed Paris. If they picked their top 10, John, Steve, Paris, Cindy, whatever, and then all 34 companies would submit their top 10. And then based on that, that's who they got awarded the scholarships. I was number 1 on every list.
Is that right? So you went, now hold on, I'm gonna take it back for a second. Now, you said you started off in a school that you say was called for dummies.
Classroom.
So who helped you in between that time where you were able to excel in your education?
I didn't excel. Miss Oliver, my dummy teacher went on vacation one day. She didn't come to school, so they took us and they put us out in classrooms because there was no dummy teacher that day. Special needs, they call it that.
That's what I was gonna say. So back then it was called dummy.
It's special needs now,
wow.
766. They got all these wonderful titles for us.
Right, now.
So our special needs teacher didn't come, so they took us all and put us out in regular classrooms. Then Miss Oliver, I ended up in Miss Oliver's room, and I started acting crazy, and she checked me and was like, "What's the matter?" I'm like, "I'm from the dummy class." I guess she was hurt that I accepted the lot that they gave me. And she's like, "No," and she took me out of the dummy class and she put me in her class, and she said, "You're not a dummy," and she started teaching me. And she taught me my learning.
So it was Miss Oliver.
Miss Oliver.
Made a difference in your life.
Hands down.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then from there, Miss Ellis, this is a crazy thing that I gotta admit. In elementary school, you don't really get it. In middle school, we had majority white teachers. We had 1 or 2 black teachers in the whole school, and we were taught that they were evil. We all didn't like Miss Ellis because she was mean and she was this. Right. That's what I was told before I got there. She's one of the only black teachers in the building, and I was programmed not to like her before I even showed up. But she took a liking to me and put me in her band class, and she taught me, gave me the trumpet. So then she's the one that sent me to Madison. Then I got the scholarship, and I won it. And I got to go, and I got to decide what school I'm going on. And the principal calls me back at Madison, Mr. Hennessy. They called me to the office. I come in, I'm like, "What's the matter?" I don't know what it was. I called me in, he sit in the office. He says, "Wait." He waited for the guy with the bow tie to show up. And we're sitting there, and he's cussing me out. Woo, woo, there's no way he's representing. He got the notice that I got the scholarship. He's like, "Ain't no way he's representing Madison Park. He's the worst kid in the school. He's just going ham on me." And I'm like, I'm a kid, so I got to take. He the principal. I'm trained to take it from him. If the principal give you grief, you shut up and take it. And when he finished, I ain't got no defense. The polka dot dude said, "Are you done?" He said, "Yeah." He said 2 things. 1, he's going. 2, it's not your money. So if you're done, we're leaving. You don't have a voice in this scenario. And we got outside, right? For me, my heart was like pounding because nobody ever stood up for me against the man. Nobody ever stood up for me against authority. It was always I was wrong just because they said so. We got outside, right? He, for the most part, punched me right in the stomach. He looked at me. He said, "Never say no for them." Because that's what he said to me the day I went to fill out the form. He said, "Don't say no for them." And not only did I get a scholarship, I got the first one. So the summer '84, I went to Europe. I went to London. I went to Paris. I went to Amsterdam. I went to Belgium. And I went to Brussels. which is part of Belgium and Amsterdam. I got to go, and the crazy thing, first time I got in trouble, we ain't got no money. My mom's ain't got no money. My father never gave me a dime. So I'm out doing stick-ups to get money to buy the stuff I need to go to Europe.
And hold on, so let me stop you there. So how old are you now when you're doing your first
I'm 16.
16. Okay.
No, by the time I'm 16 at this point, I got the scholarship. So I don't have no money to buy the stuff I need to go. I ain't got no suitcase. What I need a suitcase for?
Right.
How many kids in high school own a suitcase?
Wow.
So I'm out here getting money to get the stuff I need, and I got arrested on May 16th. Like 20 days before my birthday, and I'd be 17. Bunch of robberies. We got arrested in Cambridge, doing home invasions, armed robberies, all that type of stuff. And I go to court, and the judge had a choice of keeping me. I'm juvie. She wanted to go home to my mom, but she continued my case so I can go on my trip. So she could have said no, he ain't going nowhere. 10 days, be back in court.
Right.
She said continue to September, and she let me go on my trip. So I went to Europe for the summer. And it was phenomenal. When I first got there, I used to play video games. I was a video game. Shout out to I'm saying Miss Vicky, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I can't Mr. Marshalls. Up Mattapan, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Marshalls. If I had 50 cents, I'm going to Mr. Marshalls to play asteroids. If I had 25 cents, I walk all the way from my house, 10, 15 minutes, just go play one game. I was a video game nut. So I get there, I'm playing one of those video games, and I put my name, DRE, as the top 4 high schools. And I'm there, right? This is a crazy thing. It's helped me differentiate later on. It was summer '84. It's the Summer Olympics. So the Olympics is going on. I'm in Europe. I'm the American kid. I'm not the black kid anymore. Home, I'm the black kid. Home, I'm the kid from Madison. Home, I'm the kid from Wellington Hill. Home, I'm all these other things. In London, I'm the American. And it was different. I was the same as everybody else from America. I had never been the same as everybody else. It was weird. Like, I'm not saying I wanted to be white people or wanted to be civilians.
Treated the same.
I was just like everybody had the same title. Well, like they poor, they rich, they cool, they bad. You got old shoes on. It's like you're Americans. American was a title, and that was everybody's title, from the president to a homeless dude. And I got the same title as the rest of the country. I messed around, went back to play the game, and before I left at the end of the summer, that entire leaderboard on the top score said USA. I stopped putting Dre. I started putting USA. And because I never had national pride before, I'm like, yo, they're gonna know. They don't know who Dre is. Dre's me. I switched from me to being bigger than me, and I kid you not, I went back and put USA from top to bottom before I walked out of that place at the end of the summer.
So was that your first time with a sense of pride? Like, is that the first time you started feeling good about yourself?
It was, I mean, for the most part, I'm saying, seeing myself bigger than the box that I grew up in. I grew up on Wellington Hill. So I can tell you all the little blocks around there, all the little parks we should go to, Norfolk Park, Elmont Park. And everybody out in Roxbury got their parks. The Dorchester kids got their parks. The JP kids got their parks. And you know yourself by your surroundings.
Right.
So Mattapan Patriots, you know what I'm saying, BNBL team. I mean, everything Mattahunt, Westie. I'm a Westie guy. I'm supposed to be a Westie guy. We have our little defined lanes that were given to us.
Right.
When I went to Europe, I was outside of that box. There was no Elmont Park. I'm saying there was no Orchard Park. There was no Derby Park. It was, you're American. And it just hit me in the head. It took me a while, but it hit me in the head. And all the kids I was on a trip with were from different parts of the country. Florida, New York, Texas. And I was the Massachusetts guy. I wasn't the Wellington Hill guy. I wasn't the Mattapan guy. I was the Massachusetts guy.
Right.
And it was like, okay. And I'm like, yo, Mattapan, like, what's that? Massachusetts, right?
Right. So you represented the whole state.
I represented the whole state.
That's what's up.
And it was like the state with the people on the trip, the country for everybody else. Like, man, when people saw me, it might have been the first time they met an American. So I was representing the country. And during the Olympics, so it's like, yo, like everybody's at the little TV watching the Olympics. And like, oh, he's American. That's your team.
Right.
Not the Celtics, not the Bruins, not the Patriots, not the Red Sox, but the USA Olympic team was my team. And I never had civic pride or national pride before.
And how long? This was for the entire summer?
Yeah, like 7 to 8 weeks.
Now, was this a one-time program?
It's crazy. I go, there's a bunch of rich white kids on the trip. I'm there, I'm the only black, they've never met a black kid from the city. I used to dance back in the days.
Is that right?
Yeah. I do a shout out to Tron and a bunch of, we used to dance back in the days.
Was you a part of a group?
I don't remember the name of it.
If you said Tron, if I remember, was that the Floor Lords?
Tron was with the Floor Lords. My little dude, we'd be seeing him.
Tony Lopes?
I remember the Funk Effects.
Funk Effects, right, that's what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody had their little crews. I used to dance.
Is that right?
I used to dance back in the days.
I think you just let something off the bag, y'all. I never knew Dre used to be a dancer.
Oh yeah, I used to be a dancer.
Okay.
So when Breaking first came out, everybody had their little crew.
Right.
I wasn't an athlete, so I didn't play basketball, football. So dancing became my thing, and I was good at it. But fast forward, when I came, I was there. I had a great time. I'm cool with all the kids. We're fun. We're hanging out. Everyone wants to hang out with the one black guy because it's all rich white kids. So I'm the only black guy there. They're from the city, so everyone wants to hang out with me. So we hanging. We're getting cool, getting to know each other. Summer's over. This is the crazy part. At the end of the summer, there was a recital. And they said, "Are your parents coming?" They went around and asked, "Are your parents coming?" What are you talking about? Are my parents coming? We in London. My mother can barely make it downtown. You talk about to London to come see me do a dance recital? Are you kidding? And sure enough, a bunch of parents flew in for this little corny dance recital. And they flew in. We went to dinner. I got to meet a lot of people's parents. I'm like, y'all flew to London to see your kid dance or see his artwork on the wall from a summer program. Another level. I go home. It's over. It was a one and done deal. About 3 weeks later, I get a call from the company. And they say, "Dre, we need to come see you." So I go down to the office. They said, "Listen, the scholarship was for 1 year. We want to send you next year. We're going to pay for it and send you on a trip. And if that goes well, we'll make you a junior counselor. Then we'll just keep going." What happened is all them rich kids went home and told their parents about me and said, "I want to go next year, whatever trip Andre's on." So the parents called the company, "Yo, what trip is Andre on? What trip is Andre on? What trip is Andre on?" Company said, "Well, we about to hire Andre and put him on the most expensive trip and send all these kids. Then if that goes well, we'll just keep him rolling." I could have been international counselor. Fast forward to next June when I was supposed to go. It was getting close to that time. And again, this is, I don't want to say bad parenting, but lack of involvement. Nobody's helping me process this. Nobody's helping me set this up. Nobody's walking me through this. I have no guidance. I'm in the street half the time trying to configure what this thing is, and I don't understand it. So in the end, I don't go back to Europe. I go to New York, hang out at my uncle's house. So I think it was in Brooklyn, hanging out for the summer. You're saying, instead of being in Europe, starting a career as an international counselor, I'm hanging out in Brooklyn because I didn't understand what I was passing up. And then from there, just kept crashing, end up in Superior Court, 7 to 10, 2 9 to 10s, 2 10s, 2 15 to 20s, and a 5. They put me in a van, drove me to Walpole, said good luck.
Wait a minute, we got to rewind that. So you got convicted, your first time of getting convicted was for multiple charges.
No, I had bail money.
Had bail money.
Had bail money.
Right.
Listen, I don't get it, right? Had bail money. So I would get arrested, I'd bail out.
Okay.
I'd get arrested, I'd bail out. I'm saying, then I caught a case for armed robbery. Technically armed carjacking, that's a whole other story. I get a case for armed robbery. I'm going to court up in Essex County, in Salem. I'm out on bail. It looked real bad. So I'm like 18. The jury looks like they about to just like hang me or something. I'm saying everything's just all bad. I go out, me and Dad go out at lunchtime. I said, "Dad, they about to send me to Walpole. I'm 18. All I heard was horrible stories about Walpole. I ain't trying to go."
Right.
I said, "Dad, they about to send me to Walpole. I ain't with this." He said, "Canada's that way. You got 5 minutes. Give me $20 for the car." Gave him $20 for his parking, got my car, zoom, took off. Went to Columbia Road, opened a crack house. Well, we had one, but I kind of like moved in it because I didn't want to stay at my house because they had the record. Then, so my mind, they kept the trial going. They found me guilty because the jury's impaneled. My lawyer calls me and says, "Hey, they found you guilty. When they find you, they're going to sentence you to Walpole." What he told me, I had a license to do whatever I wanted to do. That's what he told me.
Right.
He said, when they catch you, you're going straight to Walpole.
So you better live it up.
You couldn't have told me anything worse. Because in my mind, it can't be any worse than that. That's the ultimate bad thing as an 18-year-old to go to Walpole. So I'm out here robbing people, going crazy. My hustle is I used to rob people in the suburbs.
Okay.
Waltham, Watertown, Newton, Wellesley, Lane, Salem. I got no cases in Boston.
So you weren't robbing black people there?
No, I didn't rob black people. Unless there's some black people in Newton I don't know about. I missed them. But I rob people in the suburbs. Two things. You do a home invasion on a drug house in Newton. Get your money, get your bag, shoot back to the hood. They ain't coming to look for you.
Right.
I go from out of Penn, I shoot down at Dorchester, Roxbury, JP and rob somebody, they gonna look for you.
Right.
And they gonna, okay, he ain't from around here. They gonna narrow it down and they're gonna figure out who the stick-up kids are and then at your door.
Right.
So it was just so much easier robbing suburban kids. There was no pushback, no hunting you down, and it was easy money. So when I got caught, Newton, Waltham, Watertown, Lynn, Salem, it was all white towns. Essex and Middlesex County. So they gave me 7 to 10, 2 9 to 10s, 2 10s, 2 15 to 20s. They gave me 5 years for the gun to the feds.
And so this was all concurrent?
The 5 years was from and after. Everything else was concurrent.
Okay.
I get to Walpole, scared to death.
Well, before you got to Walpole, when you got sentenced, how much time was it that you got? The 10 that everything was concurrent?
I initially got to 7 and 10.
Uh-huh.
They took me back to the court. When they arrested me for the new cases, they took me back to the old courthouse and they just sentenced me. They gave me 7 and 10, shot me straight to Walpole.
Okay.
So I'm at Walpole with a 7 and 10, but I had a bunch of open cases. It took about 8 months. Then they eventually did 2 9 to 10s, 2 10s, 2 15 to 20s.
Okay. Then
the feds hit me with the 5 years. I was in 1987. 1987, I had my gun case. 922G, 922G with the enhancement penalty of 24 Section E1. Anybody convicted of felon in possession that has 3 or more felonies gets this enhancement penalty. I was one of the first dudes to get that.
Okay.
So I'm running around Walpole trying to tell people, yo, they trying to give me 15 years. Nobody understood it.
Right.
Because the law was brand new and they were testing it out still.
Right.
So I was one of the first test cases for that 15-year gun mandatory joint.
Let's talk about your time then in Walpole, because obviously you told your father from the door that that's the one place you didn't want to go. So when you ended up there, we're talking about Walpole in the 80s.
In the 80s.
It's still Walpole, which for the viewers out there that wouldn't know, that was the Massachusetts State
Prison.
And it was one of the worst ones at the time.
I mean, worse is relative. It was one of the worst for Massachusetts.
For Massachusetts.
For Massachusetts, it was the end of the road.
Right. Okay, so then, a lot of times we get on here and people tell their stories, and even whether it's lack of me asking a question or them telling their part of the story about their experience, we don't talk about what really goes on when you're locked up. And it's different for everybody, but tell us, what I would like you to talk about right now is, what is your worst experience while you were in Walpole Prison? What was one of the things that you'll never forget, or that was life-changing, that made you the man you are today? What are some of the lessons you learned?
Well, my worst experience while I was locked up was my grandmother. She was like, everybody loves Nana.
Everybody. That's my worst.
Yeah. So my brother's a your complexion. Okay. So my grandmother, she's from down south. She used to call me her little brown boy.
No.
She had big against light-skinned people.
Okay. So she would have liked me.
She would have just liked me more. All right. So me and Nana was like super cool, and she died while I was in jail, and couldn't fix that. I'm saying her special little grandson, who had so much promise that she never did anything but love on and show up for. She went to her grave with me locked in a cage, and I can't fix that. I can't fix that. I'm saying I can do a lot of things.
So is that one of the most painful moments that you endured while you were locked up?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I can get over a lot of stuff, but some stuff is correctable. I'm saying my cases against drug dealers. So I don't feel bad about people I robbed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They was in the game. I wasn't robbing citizens.
Right.
I robbed a couple of those with their cars, but for the most part,
They were the short.
it was in a way. I wasn't out there like terrorizing like citizens. So
Right.
for me, man, and then for me at the time, who do I talk to about this? My best friend growing up, Chris, you know what I'm saying, he passed, got killed, and my grandmother died. So I'm losing people who are close to me, and I'm locked up. You know what I'm saying, and at the time, I'm in solitary confinement. I'm in 10 block, locked down.
Well, first of all, what's 10 block and why are you locked down in it?
Well, 10 block is segregation. If you get in trouble or commit a serious offense inside, they put you in segregation. I was in the state system 10 months. And I'm 6 months, I made it to Walpole. I got to the door June 16th. Like January of the following year, I was in 10 block. Just wilding. You know what I'm saying? Just every day, all day, wilding out. Thinking that this is the way. When I got off the bus.
So was you doing that because you went in there with this fear that if you don't be this tough guy and stop wilding out and acting crazy from the door, that you're going to be tested and tried?
No. By no means. When I got off the bus, I was scared.
Right.
Let's call it what it is. I was scared. I don't know nothing about this place. I don't know where the gym is. I don't know where the chow hall is. I don't know nothing. Mm-hmm. So not knowing creates fear.
Absolutely.
So I ain't been beat up since the 7th grade. I fight, I rumble, all that. But this is like, the fear is you don't know. Mm-hmm. It's the fear of the unknown.
That's right.
I don't know who's around that corner. What's it look like? How's it gonna come? I ain't settled in. When I first got to DYS, I was scared. The first time they took me to Charlestown, why? When it was used to be in Charlestown. Pull up, I'm scared. I go upstairs, I'm saying T. Johnson up there, my man Tung Su up there, now, I seen regular faces. Okay, cool, now we good. They broke it down to me. But when I sitting downstairs in the van, I was scared.
Nice.
It's the unknown.
Right.
When I went to Europe, I was scared. The unknown.
Right, and
so
eventually you adjusted.
When I got off the bus, my OG, when I was like 13, this dude from my neighborhood named Dominic Williams, he caught a homicide and went to jail. Never hung out with him, but he was the big name in our neighborhood. So when he went to jail, we used to sit around the mailbox. I wonder what Dominic's doing. I wonder what Dominic's doing at Walpole. So Walpole became a thing for me at 14 because he was there. And I talked myself, manifested myself right there next to him. So when I got there, so happened he was at Walpole. He grabs me up as soon as I come out of HSU. He's like, yo, you with us? I'm like, cool, I'm getting to hang out with a legend. So I'm in Airman, I get to hang out with a legend. Yeah. So I'm with Big Homie. I'm chilling. I'm not even thinking about nothing else. Then they took 3 or 4 of us and shot us down to Concord for classification after like 2 or 3 days. I get to Concord, I'm like, yo, how I get back to Walpole? Caseworker said, well, you got a 7 to 10. We're probably gonna send you to Norfolk or someplace in Medium. I'm like, no, you're not understanding. Big Homie's at Walpole, I wanna go there. She says, you don't qualify. So I went and asked somebody, what I had to do to get to Walpole? They said, wild out. Long story short, caught a couple fights, jumped on a couple COs, they shoot me back to Walpole. I'm like, come back. Run up on Dominic, come back. And because he's father figure, amongst other things. And what I didn't understand at the time is Dominic was doing a natural life sentence. Everybody around him was doing a natural life sentence. So I'm hanging out with 20 dudes doing natural life sentences. And guess what they taught me? How to do time their way. I didn't understand that I had numbers and they had letters. All I knew was that's Big Homie and I get to be around him and I'm going to do like he do. He's getting respect, he's getting this, he's getting that, he's going to teach me how to do time. Right. And I can tell you all the homies that we was running with, there was 20 deep. I didn't know it. I'm literally the only dude out of life sentence. So I'm learning how to do time from lifers. So they don't care status. Right. I'll murder you right here. I'll do whatever to you right here. I'll choke you out right here. I'll smack the CO. That's what I'm seeing them doing. So I'm copying them. Because this is how you do it. So 8 months in, I'm in 10 block, which is the last stop on a ride in Massachusetts. Then 2.5 from 10 block, they put me on a van and shoot me to the feds. They come down one day, boom, boom, put me in the van, drive me to Lewisburg. Gave me a federal ship out. Because I was just wild. They said, he ain't gonna calm down. I get to Lewisburg, it's like, it's just.
Well, what did you have to do to get a federal ship out?
attacked the SEALs in 10 block. I was fighting constantly in population. Then when I was in 10, I just started fights with the SEALs every day, attacking the SEALs, trying to stab them through the bars, throwing shit at them. We were just violent every day. You know what I'm saying? Just every day I was just...
So they sent you there because they said they couldn't control you in the state?
They went, had a hearing, classified me, and they got permission from the commissioner, put me in a van, and drove me to Pennsylvania.
How long did you end up doing in the feds?
I was in the feds for 2.5 years. But here we go again. It's like being in Summer Olympics. I'm in the feds. I'm not from Epiphany no more.
Right. Now you're just in...
I'm from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
You're from Massachusetts, right? I'm not from Springfield. I'm not from Boston. I'm not from Worcester. I'm not from Fall River. You're from Massachusetts.
Right.
So my name became Boston. They didn't call me Andre. They called me, Boston. Because I usually, back in the 80s, this is what cats don't know. In the 80s, I was in Terre Haute, Indiana, reading the paper when they said it was 1989, when they opened the first DEA office in Boston. Because there was no DEA in the hood. The only ones who went to feds was white dudes out in Charlestown robbing the bank trucks.
Right.
We had no federal indictments in the hood. None. You can sell all the drugs you want in Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and there was no FBI, no DEA. They didn't even mess with us. 1989, I'm reading the paper. We opened first DEA office in Boston. I'm already in the feds. So for me, for 2.5 years, Lewisburg, Terre Haute, Atlanta, El Reno, I'm in all these federal penitentiaries, they're calling me Boston because I'm repping the state and the city. So I did that for 2.5. Then eventually they kicked me out. They sent me back to Mass. So when I come back to Mass, I got this crazy psycho mentality, but I got the mentality of I rep the state. So when I come back.
So now you're thinking you're bigger than you were when you left?
Well, I was bigger in my mind.
Right. That's what I mean.
Not amongst the people. Right. But in my mind, you might have been from Roxbury. You might have been from JP. Before, I saw that. Now I don't see that. You're just a person.
Right.
I don't care where you're from. Because when I was in the feds, I tell people, I ran toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder with white boys. Because when you pull up, they're like, what state you from? Mass. If there's a white boy from Mass, that's your homie.
Right.
I remember when I got to El Reno, they said, where you from? I said, Boston. They walked me around this whole yard, got to the door, knocked on the door, white boy came out. He said, where you from? I said, Boston. Where you here? I said, came from Walpole. He went in the back, got a big ass bag, cigarettes, food, boom, 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 gave it to me. He said, if you need anything, you come here. Tripping me out, like, you white dude. But that's how they roll in the feds.
Yeah, definitely.
When I was in Terre Haute, the same dude. Hey, in the feds in the 80s, there weren't no black people from Boston. There was nobody in the 80s in the feds from Boston.
Right.
I'd be the only one on the camp from Boston. So I'm like, yo, any yard you came to behind me, nigga, we had a good name. Any yard you come to behind me in the feds, Terre Haute, Lewisburg, El Reno, Memphis, we had a good name. All we had in the 80s was mass ship-outs. There wasn't no Fed cases. They started coming in the late 90s.
Right. So how many of you guys got shipped out? Was it a crew?
The other two dudes got shipped had nothing to do with me.
Oh.
Dennis got me and 2 other dudes got shipped out at the same time. Then my big homie got shipped out, Dominic. He came like a year and a half later, he got shipped out. And I was trying to get on the yard with him. It didn't happen. So he ended up in Lewisburg, Terre Haute, every place I've been,
he went through.
He came behind me. So for me, I'm like, yo, he's pulling up, he checking trap, like, yo, how little homie do? He's like, all right. So I'm putting in work, knowing he coming behind me. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like the mentality of trying to prove myself for him. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to take no shorts. I'm not going. Dudes try to, yo, man, you need to sign up. There was this crew from another state. They wanted me to get out with their team. I was like, dude, I can't do that. I said, because if one of the homies come here from Boston and I'm on your team, that means I got to ride against them. That ain't going to happen. I said, I respect you. I appreciate the offer. No, I'll never ride against my own. I'm saying, but when I came back to Mass, my head's violence is a whole nother level in the feds.
Right.
Federal penitentiary violence in the 80s is a whole nother level.
Right.
So when I came back, I had that mentality. I already been raised by lifers. Now I spent 2.5 years with psychos. Now I'm back and my head's broke. So I get caught up and I'm back in segregation. You saying my mom came to see me. She said, how did you get in jail?
She didn't understand that, huh?
I'm thinking I'm winning.
Right.
I got respect, whatever that means. I got dope money, whatever that means. I got a bunch of cookies and soaps, whatever that means. You know what I'm saying? I got access to stuff. What does that mean? I'm locked in a cell, thinking I'm winning. My mother looked at me. She walked out of 10 block crying. I'm like, what's wrong with her? My dad was in jail. My stepdad's in jail. She should be happy that I'm doing it well up in here. I was cooked. Then I'm into 10. I go 10 to 9 to the phase program at Norfolk. And I finally wake up. And I realized I was a king of nowhere.
King of nowhere, I like that.
And I'm like,
Well, what made you wake up?
what made me wake up was a few things. One day they came, when I first got to I was in 9 block. I had like 2 months to get out of SAG. Then they came and just kidnapped me, literally. They said, oh, they need to see you downstairs. They shackled me up and they said, you get in the van. I said, for what? They said, you're going to the phase program. I said, that's a volunteer program and it's 6 months. I'm not volunteering and I don't have 6 months left in SAG. They said, well, you're going anyways. So when I got there, I told the sergeant, I ain't gonna beef with y'all. I don't wanna be here. Don't none of y'all talk to me. I'm gonna go on my cell. If it's mine, give it to me. If I don't, give it to me. No, I don't want it. Three meals a day, 3 showers a week, 5 rec periods a week. Other than that, we ain't got shit to talk about. I was living with myself and I didn't talk for like a month and a half. Didn't talk to nobody, none. I'm just gonna do this 6 months. You want a job? If I wait for my door. I want nothing. If it ain't mine, don't give it to me. He came and he knocked on my door one day. Like, yo, kept banging. I'm like, what do you want, man? He said, yo, man, come here. I said, I don't want to talk to you. I told you, I ain't got nothing to say to you people. He said, yo, your mother died. He gave me the phone. He said, call home. I said, what part of I don't want to talk to you didn't come through? What part is not my phone time don't you understand? And he took the phone and closed my slot. I laid back down. That's when I realized I had a problem. My mother, I am my mother reborn. I am her walking, talking, sarcasm, attitude, dimples, everything. And for me to have that response to the message of my mother dying, I got a problem. I got a severe problem. My response to my mother dying is some prison code that I made up about being too tough to use the phone when it's not my day. I was standing on that. I'm gonna stand on that. I told you, if it ain't mine, don't give it to me. So the fact that my mother died isn't good enough to break the code. I was gone. You go crazy. I had lost my mental facilities, man, in the sense of I was just completely off track. I had bought in so hard to prison life. I bought in so hard to this culture. I bought in so hard to being that guy or being with those guys or being seen as a guy that my entire life was so far off track.
So you think that you buying into prison life made you pretty much become a heartless person, like a monster, basically?
Nah, I was never a monster, right? I'm saying, I mean, I had beefs with people, and in most, if not every instance, I'm saying there was a chance for de-escalation. I'm saying if we didn't get a chance to de-escalate, then I was up for de-escalation.
At what point did you feel like you didn't have to prove yourself no more? While in prison.
While in prison. Well, it wasn't so much prove yourself, it's keeping up with the Joneses. Right. So you out here right now, you don't have to prove yourself, but do you really want to ride around a Toyota Camry? Do you really want to stay in a Holiday Inn?
Right.
Do you really want to fly coach? So it's not like prove yourself, you just created this lifestyle that you got to maintain. So when I was in the culture, you want the things that come with the culture, status, the hustle money, and the rest of that. But for me, when I decided, I woke up in my cell and I said, okay, I don't want to do this no more. I said, well, what do you want to do instead? I said, I want to be free. 6 years in prison, not one time did I say I wanted to be free. It was never, you know why? Because I'm fucking hanging out with all lifers.
That's right.
And they never said it. They never once uttered, I want to go home. Because in their minds, they ain't going home. For 6 years, I'm hanging with these dudes every single day, and not one time was uttered, go home. Life after prison, on the streets. It was always more of this. Not blaming the homies, that's what they had, and that's what they gave me, what they had. The mindset of never go home. So 6 years in was the first time I said, I want to go home. I said, I want to be free. And I looked around, black, Spanish, white, chess players, ball players, everybody got free, came back. I said, free don't work. I said, I don't want to be free. I switched free to successful. I said, successful people don't come here. So I'm going to go home and go to Harvard. I'm going to be successful. Came out the cell the next day, got the homies, like, yo, I figured it out. I said, I figured it out. They said, what's up? I said, I'm going home, going to Harvard.
They laughed at you. Huh?
They wanted you. They looked like, nigga, they went crazy. Called my mother, she thought I bugged out. Called my father, he thought I bugged out. But I was like, no, this is it. This is it. Nobody could see it. Went, signed up for GED while I was in phase program. Got my GED. Went to the law library, working on my case. Flipped my case in the books, Commonwealth versus Norman. And I just started going to GED classes, going to programs, going to this. Every day I'm going to programs. Every day I'm going to programs.
What do you mean by you flipped your case? Does that mean you got your sentence reduced?
The 7 to 10 that they gave me initially was overturned. Meaning, had I not run, when I first got arrested, I went to court, I went to trial. Had I not run, I went to court, got found guilty. I filed my appeal and went home in like 6 months. But since I ran,
made it worse.
I picked up all these new cases. So when they flipped my original case, I still got to do the new ones I picked up while I was on the run.
Oh, okay.
So I should have did 6 months, not 14 years.
So your total time was 14 years in prison.
Yeah, and by my own hand.
Now,
Stupidity.
do you agree that, from what I hear, do you agree with me when I say you were living with a mask? And
I was living in a clown suit.
Yeah,
I went past the mask. I put the full clown suit on.
I get that, but the reason I say mask is because a lot of us in life, we put a mask on and we're hiding who we truly are. So, like for instance, the tough guy, like when you're in prison, because everyone thinks that, and they don't understand when you go through prison, and some of the guys who come in there and act like they're real tough, they're the ones that get made example of sometimes. Like it can be,
it just all depends on
being someone other than you are.
Yeah.
When you wear this mask. So
Definitely.
my question would be, do you think that you hanging with the lifers caused you to be someone that you weren't?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say something that I wasn't, because I was that guy. I was still me. I just took on a personality of the people that I'm around.
Okay.
All the dudes from Mission, shout out to Mission Hill, play basketball. You know why? They got a gym down Mission, and it's by law from birth. All the mothers are in that gym from the time they're pregnant, the time they spit out, and the time they crawling around the gym floor in Mission.
I never thought about it like that. They got some
mean,
ballers down there.
You know why? The gym is right there, and it's just a thing for them. They go, that's their thing. They go to the gym every day, so they play ball. It's a culture. You can't be from Mission and not play ball. You looked at like, yo, what's wrong with him? You can't be from Mission and not play ball. It's just what they do. They're known for that.
Right.
Because it's their culture. So had I grown up in Mission, for the record, I can't play ball, but had I grown up in Mission, I'd have learned.
Right.
I'm saying, and that's just what they do. So when I came to jail, now everybody can't ball as good as the next.
Right.
When I got to jail and I got on the lifers, it wasn't like I wasn't capable of that stuff.
Right.
I didn't know it was in me. I didn't know it was an option. Why did I start doing stick-ups? My cousin Joey showed me how to rob somebody. It wasn't like an idea of mine. Somebody showed me, and I copied it. They showed me a way to be, and I copied it. So most folks out here, if they want to tell the truth, they're copying somebody else that they've seen. Somebody gave them an example of something negative. Somebody gave them an example of something to wait. Why we all smoke Newports? Because the dude before us smoked Newports. Why we was drinking Heinekens? Because the dude next was drinking Heineken.
Right.
Why we all wear Adidas? Because everybody else wear Adidas. Because Run DMC came to Boston in 1980, down to Lansdowne, and they did the Adidas show, and we went Adidas ever since.
Right.
I was there
People
for
don't
the
even know
show.
that's where it really comes
They
from.
came, what's the spin-offs? It used to be spin-offs back then.
Right.
They came, Run DMC did their show, they had Adidas, and for whatever reason, we copied that. And now Adidas became our official shoe. Has been for 40 years.
That's right.
From some New York dudes.
Yeah. Ain't that so?
We don't like New York dudes, but
like
New York dudes gave us
their
Adidas.
fashion.
Forgot
right.
about that part.
That's right.
But I mean, the thing is, you are who you are. If I take you and I leave you with 20 scientists, I'm gonna come back, you're gonna be doing equations. If I leave you with, I'm saying, 20 lawyers, I'm gonna come back, you're gonna be writing briefs. If I leave you with 20 lifers, you're gonna come back, you're gonna have no hope for freedom.
Okay. So let's go back to Harvard. So you say you wanted to go to Harvard. So how did that work out for you?
How did that work out
Did
for
you
me?
end up going to Harvard?
I got a fellowship to Harvard Law School in 2016. So in 1991, while I was in SAG, I said to myself, this is what I want to do. I set that as a destination. Got my GED, flipped my case, started going to programs, started doing all this other wonderful positive stuff. I got out in 99, and Prison Parole Office Youth Center. 90 minutes after I got out, I did my first talk to kids. Went down to Metro in Dorchester off Harvard. And I'm down there talking to kids 90 minutes after I got out. But I just had that goal of wanting to go.
So when you got out, how was it your last, few months that made you change and want to get out in?
A few months. 91 is when I had the Epiphany. I got out in 99.
Oh, okay.
8 years.
So from that time,
So
you got
from
no
8
more
years,
trouble in prison?
No major.
Okay. No more fights?
No, the last 8 years I didn't have a fight.
Okay.
Did not. I was breaking up fights versus starting. Telling people let stuff go versus like, yeah, let's go make this move. Because I never had a goal before.
Right.
My last goal was a trumpet.
Right.
So when I got this goal to go to Harvard, people started laughing at me. They sounded like my friends from high school. I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna get robbed twice.
Right.
They got me in 9th grade for my trumpet and I went off the cliff. I got a new goal and y'all are trying to take that from me. That's how I took it. Like they were trying to steal my trumpet again. So I was like, nah, not twice. And I just stayed course. And it took me 8 years to get out. I got out in 99. I gave lectures at Harvard in 2000. I gave lectures at Harvard in 2001. You saying? And in 2016, after 16 years of being home, they gave me a fellowship. When they gave me my email, man, it was like phenomenal. 25 years from the day I said it to the day I achieved it. But I never gave up.
That's deep. So after you got your fellowship at Harvard, what did you do from there?
Well, before that I got the fellowship in 2016. I came home in 99. When I came home in 99, the first thing I did was what I felt I needed to do, go help little black kids that look like us.
Okay.
So I was at Angel Street. I'm at Metro DYS. I'm up on Rosendale, lockup, talking to the kids. You know what I'm saying? Then we put together a program because this old head, God bless him, Jimmy Crawford, who came home. He was a solid dude. And he used to tell me, Dre Top used to call me. He said, yo, man, these dudes are blocking me. All these dudes are blocking me. Because he was just an old school, solid dude. You know what I'm saying? No nonsense. And he'd go to try to get a job or get plugged in, and all the cornball dudes who were working, they were blocking him, whoever they were. And he should tell me, yo, man, these suckers are blocking me. They won't let me get in the door. They'll smile at me as soon as I walk out. They'll run behind me and tell the boss don't hire him. Because he's going to bring back bad memories of their prison time. So he's just trying to get a life. They're trying to not relive an old life. So when I came home, I remember what he told me. He's like, yo, I said, so I want to create something for cats, man, who was real dudes. So I ended up in a place called the Bakehouse up in Four Corners. And there was a dude who ran a bakehouse. We connected. He says, what do you want to work for me? I said, I want to be able to hire my friends. I'm saying, I don't want no BS about that. I want to do the work the way we know how to do it. He said, go ahead. And I went and got dudes from around the city. We had our first meeting. We had 65 dudes come out from all over the city. I'm saying, I got every block I could think of, invited everybody I could know of. We came together, we had a conversation. I said, yo, we can own this city. We can own this city. And then out of that 65, we ended up with a team of 15. You know what I'm saying? We started doing work around the city. And in that first 4 years, we was doing the work. Because there's a lot of people in the city right now who are getting crazy checks. They have agencies with offices full of caseworkers and case managers and all the rest of this wonderful stuff. And they have 2 outreach workers. That's the black folks. Everybody else downtown sitting in the office just getting a check to just push papers. So we started applying for the grants ourselves. So what happens is you got this person who went to college, some dude from a church, and then we would walk in. I'm like, yo, what is this grant about? It's working with young gang kids. It's working with young at-risk kids. Well, who's better suited than us? They started writing the checks to us.